So guys, it's official. On the Companies House website, you can now see my company's accounts that have been published, showing that we have done over £1 million in deal sourcing in the past 12 months. And I was gonna script this video, I was gonna plan it and make this big video about it, but I thought the best thing to do is literally just jump on the computer, jump in front of the camera, and start recording and share some of the lessons that I've learned in the past 12 months or so on scaling a deal sourcing business to seven figures, because I feel like not many companies have talked about what it really takes to reach the next level in deal sourcing. So I'm going to just literally shoot off, and anything that comes in my mind, I'm going to just spit it out. Okay, I've got no script. I'm not going to use an editor or anything like that. So here we go. The first thing, for context, this is now my second seven-figure business of my career. My first one was my ecom one, which I started in 2013 all the way up to 2021. So, and in that company, we generated over £10 million in sales, not profit. If it's profit, I wouldn't be here. It was £10 million in sales. So that was a seven-figure business. I've had a few failed businesses on the way, but this is now my second official seven-figure business of my career, and I'm proud. I'm proud because to do one seven-figure business in your career is, it's not bad, right? And I've done it in two, and to have done it in two different industries, in two, times, when first or when I was 20, now I'm 30. So to have done it in two different generations, or whatever you want to call it, I'm proud. I'm definitely happy, but I'm not satisfied. There's many more things that we can do to improve. But what I wanted to share with you is, my thoughts, my lessons, that hopefully any of you watching this, whether it's in business, property, or deal sourcing, you can hopefully take a few nuggets and hopefully can inspire some of you. So the first thing I want to talk about is work-life balance. Now, the first disclaimer I must give is that I'm not the best person to talk about work-life balance. I understand, but it's also important because right now there's a narrative of this 4-hour work week, working as less as possible, have more time for myself. I get all of that, but if you truly want to reach your goals, if you truly want to level up, you must not prioritize or optimize for work-life balance. And the reason why I say that is, and whether you like it or not, is that there is someone out there, your competitor, someone out there who is not optimizing for work-life balance. They are optimizing for results. And when you're optimized for results, you will, in most cases, always beat someone who is optimizing for work-life balance. So you must work really hard. No one successful out here has got to where they are without working very, very hard. And most people think, oh, maybe they're clever, or maybe they got this great vision, or this or that. No, in most cases, most people aren't smarter than you. They are just working harder than you. And you need to accept that. That is the reality. And I've been working hard for a long time, and it's like it's truly, it's difficult to explain like how hard, because rather than the intensity, it's the consistency that I've been doing it for. I mean, I've been waking up 5:30 for the last 5, 6 years. I don't start work at 5:30, but I'm working from 8 to like 8 p.m. pretty much all weekdays, right? I even work weekends sometimes. And yeah, I know this might not be some, I get that, but if you really want to, if you're watching this video because you want to hit seven figures, please understand that most likely you are not hitting seven figures is because you are not working hard enough. And I understand that sometimes that is the thing, that work hard or work smart, yes, that is also all true. But best people, they're working smart and they're working hard. Okay. So you have to really work hard. And it's not, oh, you haven't got a mentor, you haven't got the knowledge. That might be true, but a lot of these problems that you are currently having, and I promise you, it's most likely because you are not working hard enough. So hard work is paramount. If you don't have the work ethic, none of the other things that I'm going to talk about in the video are going to apply to you, because it won't work. Right? So work hard is the number one. And I'll give you a bit of a story now. Okay. So my business partner, Michael, like, we work like pretty much all the time. And sometimes I'll text him at like 9 o'clock or like half 8 in the night talking about work, right? And I remember we said this, and I think he said it or I said it, like, we always text him about little things. And I remember said this to him. I said, Michael, do you think any of our competitors are working like us or going into this detail like us? And he said no. And I was like, that's why we're gonna win. And that's essentially, like, obviously that's just a little silly story, but it just, that saying that how you do everything is how you do something is how you do everything. And hard work is the one thing that I know I have under my belt. I know I can outwork a lot of people, and that's why I'm confident in my ability. I'm not actually confident in my skills. I'm very confident that I'm able to like outwork or work harder than others. And I know some people say, oh, it's very toxic, but like, do you think it's going to be easy? Do you think like building 2 7-figure businesses, building these businesses, my social media, do you think all this is possible without being consistent and without working hard? Like, it's not possible. So hopefully you don't take this in the wrong way, but hard work is paramount. Which brings me to the second point, is consistency. Now, I see a lot of people. Sorry, let me just have some coffee. I see a lot of people that they are not consistent. And I've come to realize that apart from hard work, if you just become consistent at something, you are going to succeed, because it's very easy to work hard for short periods of time. But unfortunately, I wish it was true, otherwise, I wouldn't have to be consistent. But unfortunately, the best work always comes from you being consistent. I am quantity over quality every single time of the day, because I know people say, oh, no, I'm quality over quantity. Yeah, but the thing is, in order to get quality, you have to put the reps in. You need the quantity. You can only have quality if you're doing something so many, many times. No one's born with quality. No one becomes a genius. No one becomes excellent at the start, right? The only reason they become masters at their craft, they become good at their job, is because they have done the quantity. They have put the reps in. They have been consistent. And beauty with consistency is that you don't need to do anything remarkable, right? You just have to turn up every day, whether you're feeling in a good mood, whether you're feeling in a bad mood, whether you don't feel motivated, you just turn up every single day. Promise you, if you just remain consistent at anything, let alone deal sourcing, right? But deal sourcing, if you remain consistent in viewing properties, if you remain consistent in reaching out to investors, if you remain consistent in your marketing, you will win, because the easiest thing you could do is to beat most people is just be consistent, because most people aren't consistent. And that's the reality. And I've come to realize this in property quite often, whether it's in social media or just in business. Most people are not consistent. The best businesses, the people who are the most successful in property or business, you'll see it's because they're just damn consistent. So I work hard and then be consistent. And then after that, it comes product. If you truly want to build a good business, you have to have a good product. And in deal sourcing, I think deal sourcing as a whole is a good product, as long as obviously you do a good job. Because if you think about deal sourcing, with deal sourcing is that you're essentially helping someone solve their problem. And that problem is that an investor, they've got money, they want to get into property, but they don't know how. They haven't got the time. They haven't got the contacts, right? They haven't maybe got the guts to do it themselves. So this is where you come in as a deal sourcer. So you're essentially solving the investor's problem. That's a bloody good product, as long as you deliver them the product that they want. Okay? So you have to start with good product. And in deal sourcing, you can automatically make your product better by just doing a few simple things. Number one is just focus on one area. I see so many deal sourcers, and they sometimes sell a property in Manchester, then they'll sell in Birmingham, then Wales. I'm like, bro, how are you doing this? Then the second question I always think, how the hell are investors trusting you? Because if you're selling a deal in Birmingham, if you're selling a deal in, I don't know, Manchester, and then Wales, then Portsmouth, how on earth are investors thinking that you must be good at your job? Because it's impossible to be good at it's hard to be good at one area, to master one area. It's extremely hard. So it's impossible to be very good in multiple areas. So if you just focus on one area, if you just focus on one strategy at the start, again, similar to area, some people just do rent to rent, HMO developments, and I understand why people do it. The reason why people do it is because they think that they cover all bases. They get FOMO. Oh, he's doing this, so I must do this. But the problem is that works for a short term, but it will not get you to seven figures. That I can promise you. To get to seven figures from where you are right now, you only have to focus on one area and one strategy. Okay? Do not get FOMO. We build a seven-figure business by focusing on the Northeast and doing buy to let. Yes, we do sometimes have to turn away investors. Yes, of course we do, because we don't do HMOs. We rarely do HMOs. We don't do new builds. We don't do so many other strategies. But the point is, to so many no's that we said, we get so many yeses because people understand that we have expertise in that one area and one strategy. And that, as a result, if you just do that, you will build a good product. Because think about it, if you're doing the same area, same strategy multiple times, right? Again, consistency, put in the reps, you will automatically, by default, build a good product because you're just doing the same thing. You're just perfecting your craft. It's impossible for you to perfect your craft if sometimes you sell in Birmingham, sometimes you sell in Manchester, sometimes you sell in London. It's just impossible. It's bullshit. I don't know how that people do it. And yeah, people can say, yeah, I'm expanding. In order to, this is another funny thing I find, that when people say I'm expanding, it's like, bro, why are you expanding when you haven't even done a good job on this? Expansion to me, like in business, should be like what you've got something good and you want to like grow it. Okay. But I'm like, most of these people who want to expand, they haven't built their foundations. Okay. So for anyone who's looking to deal source, this is my number one tip: focus on one area, one strategy. If you can't get to 200, 300, 400,000 pounds a year by doing these two things, it's nothing. It's don't blame because you haven't got another strategy. It's because something else is wrong. Okay, so that's how you build a good product. Just stick to your word, be realistic, don't bullshit investors, and by default, you're going to have a good product. Because sources get a bad name, and I understand, because product they're selling is not what the real product is. We like to be as transparent as possible. We show all our numbers, we show all the figures, and as a result, we do lose a lot of deals because we're not overinflating numbers. We're quite realistic. And again, there are some things that that are out of our control, which I'm going to talk about later in the video, one of the downsides. But generally speaking, to build a good product, just stick to your word, man. Be consistent. Focus on one area, one strategy. You've automatically got a good product. How else do you become a good product? Is by solving the investor's problem. This is what I've come to realize as well, that you probably heard of this saying as well, that you make money in proportion to the problems you solve, right? So, and this is so true for deal packaging. I'll give you one example, an extreme example, and then I'll give you a deal sourcing example. So, the richest guy in the world right now is Elon Musk. The reason why he's the richest man in the world, because he's solving such huge problems. He's the first person to master electric cars when no one else was doing it. It was a bloody big problem, right? And he solved that. He's now going to Mars. Huge product, huge problem, huge product he's trying to build. So Elon Musk is getting paid in proportion to the value he's providing. Okay. And if you look, let's talk about other rich people. Mark Zuckerberg, one of the richest people in the world. The reason why he's so rich is because bloody everyone's on Instagram, everyone's on Facebook, everyone on WhatsApp. So he's had such an impact on so many people. He's solved so many people's problems because, they just get bored. So now they don't get bored because of social media. And you get paid in proportion to the problems you solve. In deal sourcing, this is no different. And I'll give you an example. So we right now charge anything between £6,000 to £12,000. Okay. And £12,000 is like our upper limit. And people sometimes think, wow, £12,000. Why would someone want to pay you that? But my answer is always like, if I could help you make a 50K, 60K, 70K profit, okay, and you'd have to do nothing, I do all the work for you, or my team does all the work for you, and you pay us £12,000, isn't that a good deal? You're making 50, I'm only making £12,000, okay? And so that's how you get paid. You get paid in proportion to the problems you solve or the money you make someone, which brings me to the next point, that when I first started my first business, my ecom one, and yes, I made a fair amount of money, but I made money in that way because I was only focused on myself. I only wanted to make money for myself, which is understandable. That's what you do. That's what you think you go in business. But what I've realized is that if you can help someone else make more money, you're going to get paid a lot more. Okay. And there's a quote that stuck with me, what Jeff Bezos, the Amazon founder, said. I think he was along the lines of that. Someone asked him that, how do you feel that you're worth such obscene money? You're worth 100 billion plus. And Jeff Bezos goes that, yeah, I am worth 100 billion plus. But the reason why I'm worth 100 billion plus is because Amazon is a $2 trillion company. And so that means that out of that 2 trillion, I've only got 100 billion out of that. And the other 1.9 trillion is to my shareholders. So the reason why I'm worth 100 billion is because I've made $1.9 trillion for my stakeholders, for my shareholders. And that really stuck with me because it's so fucking true. Yeah, he's super rich. But the reason why Jeff Bezos has been able to make so much money is because there's a quote, isn't there, that you can sit on your ass and Jeff Bezos will deliver the product for you next day. He's solving such a big problem that you don't have to go to the shopping center, that you don't have to, you don't have to pay for returns. It's free returns. You can just try, you can buy anything, it comes to your doorstep. He solved a bloody big problem. And deal sourcing is also solving a bloody big problem in property because so many people want to get into property, but they just don't know how and when. What I'm going to do is, my battery's about to run out. I'm going to literally change the battery and I'll be back. So I'm back. And just in case my camera heats up, I'm going to obviously have to pause it again, but I don't want to take no breaks. I literally want to just speak what's come to my mind. So we talked about perceived value, problem solving. The next one is, we talked about good product. The next one is, they just go hand in hand, is marketing. Now, I was lucky enough that I've managed to be or develop marketing skills because through my ecom business, I started becoming good at marketing or learn about marketing because at the time in ecom, if you want to sell products, you have to be good at marketing. And that has transferred over in my like property career as well, whether it's in social media or whether it's just marketing yourself. And I'll give you a perfect example is that most businesses that are six figure, the reason why they haven't reached seven figures is, as bad as it sounds, is because they haven't got good marketing or they haven't appreciated marketing. And I see sometimes like busy people would say, oh, he's only good because he's good at marketing. Oh, he can only market. And when someone says he can only market, I'm like, what else is this person supposed to do? Marketing yourself, marketing your business is one of the most important skills you can have in business, right? If you look at the best businesses right now, Nike, McDonald's, Apple, do you really think they have the best product? Yeah, maybe. Maybe Apple has a great product. Got Apple as well. But it has got a great product. Nike's a great product as well. But do they have the best product? It's very debatable, isn't it? It's a matter of opinions. But what isn't a matter of opinions? That these companies, Nike, McDonald's, Apple, they have the absolute best marketing. And if you can have the best marketing, even if you have a shit product, and I don't recommend you have a shit product, you could still reach seven figures in business. And I genuinely believe that. And even Alex Hormozi, one of the guys I really look up to, he always says that to get to seven figures, you only need good marketing. It's only after to get to eight figures you need a good product, which is crazy, by the way, that you can make 10 million and you can not have a good product. But yeah, I always believe have a good product because then marketing becomes cheaper, marketing becomes easier. But guys, you need to understand that if you want to hit seven figures in any business, or if you want to, make more money than you are right now, you need to get good at marketing. And how to get good at marketing, what to do, I could, make a complete different video for that because I've now seen social media, I've been through paid ads, so I understand marketing. But what you need to know is that if you don't have marketing, there is another company out there who is marketing themselves, marketing their products, who will just kick your ass. So you have to remain top of mind. And the good thing is these days that people prefer personal brands now. So all you need to do is just share your knowledge like I am right now. Just be yourself like I am right now, no script or nothing. And I think people appreciate that because you're offering them value. So yeah, marketing is super important. Along with marketing is sales. And sales is something that I've had to learn in the past few years or like even a year or so, because if you think about it, in my first business, my eco one, there was no sales. It was just all marketing. And sales has always, even to me, when I used to think of sales, I always used to have like this bad like image of sales. Those cheap car salespeople or those people on stage just shouting buy, buy, buy. But I think times have changed from then. Now I think people aren't stupid. People understand when you're being sold to. And as silly as it might sound, that the best salespeople now are the people who are solving a problem. And I keep talking about solving a problem because the people who ask the most questions. So before I used to think sales is all about, oh, buy this, you just talking, hammering them. But actually, sales is the reverse. The more questions you ask, the better. What's your budget? What's your investment goals? Where do you see yourself? What are you struggling with? What's your current situation? Where do you want to get to? What's your main motivation? These are all like, who, what, how, where. These kind of questions, these open-ended questions, unless you ask those questions, you won't be able to know what they want. And without you knowing what they want, you're just not going to be able to sell to them properly, if that makes sense. So sales is all about, it's really just a conversation between two people about whether you can help them or not. And it's just quite simple for us as well. What's your budget? Do you have less than £30,000? Unfortunately, we can't help you. What kind of return do you want? Do you want 50% return investment? Unfortunately, we can't help you. But if you are looking for this, or this, we can help you because we do this, and this. It really just fact finding and then delivering the solution. And you just have to accept that you're never going to be able to sell to everyone, right? And that's not the point, because if you're selling to everyone, then that means you're just lying about your product, because a product can only fit a certain type of profile, right? A certain type of avatar. So yeah, marketing and sales is super important. What else have we got is deal sourcing. I think deal sourcing as a whole, as a business model, I think it's a great business model. And I know you're gonna think like I'm being biased because now, we do deal sourcing and we also now teach people how to deal source, which is completely different. I'm not here to plug my product, but the point is that deal sourcing is the best way to get into property, because if you've got a lot of money, it's most likely you're in a high paying job. It's most likely you're in a high demanding career, because that's how you've been able to accumulate that money. And if that's the case, then you don't really need to do, as long as you just work with a deal sourcer, they can solve that problem. But what I've realized is that there's a lot of people, when I mean lot, like 90% of UK wants to get into property. That's what I feel like. Everyone loves property or loves the idea of getting into property in the UK. And I get it, because over time, property has proven time and time again that it's the best investment. But unfortunately, out of those 90% of people, 90% of people can't actually afford to get in property, right? They can't save up for a deposit. So what does that mean? That means that you need to increase your income. And if you can't increase your income, you're not going to be able to save up for a property. And even if you do, it's going to take you years and years to buy one property. One property is not going to change your life, guys. Okay. At this time of writing, I've got 20 properties, so I can say this. It's only after I got my seventh or eighth property, I started thinking, oh, this is quite meaningful. But I was lucky in the sense that I had already made some money from my ecom business, so I could buy those 7, 8 properties. Most people, unfortunately, aren't in that luxury, right? They can only afford to buy 1 or 2 properties. Will 1 or 2 properties make you rich? Yeah, maybe in like 20, 30 years, right? When the property value goes up, because you're not going to become rich off the cash flow of 2 properties. And this is also a common like thing, common myth that the cash flow is king. Yeah, cash flow is king to some extent. But if you really want to build true wealth, that comes from the capital appreciation, the prices going up and your mortgage debt reducing over time. It takes time, guys. And if you're happy to make a lot of money in 20, 30 years' time, that's fine. You do that. But I'm not. And a lot of people aren't, because I've spoken to a lot of people. A lot of people want to replace the 9 to 5 income. They want to quit the 9 to 5 jobs. They want more, they want to go on more holidays. Basically, they just want to make more money. And the only way you could do that in property quickly is by going for a business, property business, not property investment, because property investment takes time. So out of the property businesses, you have a few options. You've got deal sourcing, you've got rent to rent, you've got purchase option agreements. Think with Airbnbs that yes, it works. People are doing it. But what people forget is that there's a lot of overheads. You still have to pay, the rent to your landlord. You still have to furnish the property. With deal source, there's none of that bullshit, right? It is a very high margin business, because okay, for us it's a bit different now because we've got like a team and stuff like that. But if you're starting out, to make your first 0 to 20K a month, honestly, you can just do this by just one person, right? Just you. So all you need to put is in the time, and as long as you get educated, you're willing to put the work in, you can get to 0 to 20K a month profit. I don't like to use the word quickly, but it's the easiest route in property to increase your income. That's why I think deal sourcing is brilliant. And there's so many deal sourcing people that I've seen that get into deal sourcing to raise capital, and they do that successfully. They ended up buying property, but then they like stop deal sourcing. And I always think, mate, you've built such a great thing, like you've acquired a great skill in deal sourcing or making a lot of money in short term. Why have you quit that for property? If you can do both, that's where the game changer is. And that's what I'm trying to do. I use all the money I make from a deal sourcing business to then reinvest it into my own portfolio. So yeah, I think like deal sourcing is generally, and I'm not being biased. Maybe I'm being biased, but it's just honestly what I believe. That's the fastest and easiest way to get to like 0 to 10K a month. And we've seen people do it so quickly, right? Our head buyer, he did it within, I don't know, a few months. So it's very much possible. It's not easy, as I said. But if you are struggling, if you want to get into property and you're struggling to save for a deposit and you're just, you're only able to save a couple of grand, a grand at max, then that's not going to help you get to BRR unless you start using other people's money. You start raising investor finance, which again is a very different skill set. There are other options, but the thing with deal sourcing is that everything you learn in deal sourcing, viewing properties, analyzing properties, how to find good areas, talking to investors, all the things that you learn, all the skills that you accumulate in deal sourcing are transferable to building your own portfolio in the end. And that's why I believe property investing in general go hand in hand. And that's that. What else is there? What I've learned? I've also learned, it's probably more of a property investment strategy, is that BRR is the most powerful strategy there is. And you guys have probably heard me talking about BRR so many times. And okay, so we source a lot of, majority of our products are to investors, we sell as BRR. But there are like 10% that we sell that are turnkey property, just standard buy-to-lets or just standard service accommodation or whatever, right? The point is, it doesn't go through a BRR. And what we've realized is that even though it seems in the investor's mind, it seems like an easy sell because they think, oh, I can make money from day one. Oh, cash flow from day one. But the point is, in the long term, what you'll realize is that the investors who are the happiest for us are the ones who we source BRR deals for. Even though it may take longer, even though there might be some delays or they might cost go over, which I'm going to talk about later on. The point is with BRR, at the end of it, after even though it's a few months, at the end of it, you're able to recycle your money. You'll be able to pull most of your money out, not all of it. That doesn't exist. It's very rare that we do it nowadays. And their property is brand new, so it looks nice. So as a result, because it's gone through BRR, because it's brand new, they can even charge more rent. And there's so many plus points with the BRR that now we're a bit conscious to sell anyone any buy-to-let turnkey deal. And we still do get investors that they're like, nah, I don't want to do refurb. I know that I'm going to make less money, but I just want something from day one. We try to persuade them. But if you want to, it just goes back to building a good product. Deep down, we know BRR is a better product. So that's what we push on. And if you're looking to really scale your business, I think you should consider BRR if you're not already, because I know you can source properties on like Rightmove and you can source just standard turnkey properties or just they're a bit undervalued. But remember, you're going to make more money if you help someone else make more money. Okay. And if the investor makes a lot of money, he's going to come back again and again. Okay. So that's that. Next lesson I've learned is team. Now, if you are a one-man band, I believe you can get to even 30K a month on your own. But obviously, we wanted to play a bit of a bigger game, and we realized that we needed, more people. And building a team is just so essential for any business, whether you're doing 6 figures, 7 figures, or 8 figures. And I haven't done 8 figures, so I can't really talk about that. But obviously, I went through the 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figure stage. But what I've realized is that a team is so important. Having people who are opposite of what you like. So, for example, my main role in talking houses is number one, the marketing, the sales, systems and processes, and the strategy. Okay, that's where I think my strengths are. But I'm not good at refurbs, right? But my business partner, Michael, is brilliant. I'm not really good at buying properties as good as Sean, who's bought 700 properties. So The point is, a business is a collection of people, and you need to have the self-awareness to accept that, okay, you're not good at this thing, so therefore I need help in this. Okay. And this is, luckily, I'm quite good at this now. I never used to be in my previous business. I used to have this little ego that, oh, I need to do everything. Oh, I'm good at everything. Now, anytime we need to get something done or hire someone, I always, in my brain, I've registered as, I am not good at this. There is someone better than me at this. I need to hire them. And if you go with that mentality, the who, not how mentality, and read that book, it's great, by the way, Who, Not How. Really good book on delegation. If you learn how to do that, you're going to be a lot more successful because there's only so much you can do at one given point. My camera is about to overheat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it again and I'm going to play it back again. Okay, thank you. So now we've talked about the good sides of, and hopefully you guys have learned some things that have come to your mind. There's also a lot of downsides that people don't talk about, especially in deal sourcing. Now, I repeat that deal sourcing is the best business model to get to, I'd say, 0 to 30K, even 40K. It's the easiest model. Again, it's not easy. It's the most straightforward as long as you know what you're doing and stuff. But once you get to kind of our level, even slightly less, that means you're doing more deals. Okay. And when you're doing more deals, there's a lot more moving parts. And that's one of the most frustrating things about deal packaging, that there's a lot of things that are out of your control. And as a result, it makes it a lot harder to scale. Okay. I'll give you an example. So if you look, we have to buy a property, we have to refurb a property. And then if we're doing a BRR, which is most cases, you have to refinance a property. And there's so many moving parts. And a lot of these moving parts are out of our control, like builders, what end value you're going to get, if there's any delays in the refurb, right? If there's like some costs that have come up, we can't control those. We try to be as transparent as possible. And if you're doing 20 of these deals, I'm just giving a hypothetical example, even if you get 3 of these problem properties that happens, and problems happen in any like property transaction. If you guys have invested in property yourself, you should know by now that there's always something happening in property that it never goes to plan. And if you're doing a lot of these properties like we are, then that automatically means that there's a lot of properties that don't go to plan. And that's the frustrating thing in deal sourcing, that we're actually surprised how we've managed to scale it to 7 figures, because it's hard. There's so many moving parts, and it's not like selling a mentorship or a course or something like that, which we're also obviously do a program now as well. Because with the program, you build it once, you obviously have to have the ongoing support, which we offer. But if you want to do 40, if you want to sell 40 properties, right? What we've realized, we have to buy 40 properties. And it's come to a point where sometimes every month we run out of buying properties because there's only so many properties you can find, right? We're not the only ones who are operating in the Northeast. We're not the only one who's got good contacts. So it's not like a thing that you can copy and paste. And that's the thing with deal sourcing, that it's a lot harder to scale. I believe deal sourcing is the best business model if you want to get to 0 to 30K, 40K, or even 50K, right? But when you want to get a bit slightly higher than that, unless you have super high, like if you're doing super big deals where you're making, I don't know, 30, 40K profits from one deal, which some companies do, but we can't because our area is in the Northeast. So there's only so much upside. But in London, maybe you could if you're, I don't know, helping an investor make £250,000. But the point is that our business, it's a lot harder to scale. And I feel like people would say, oh, you've done 7 figures now. What's next? 8 figures. I think 8 figures is, for us, it's impossible to do in the Northeast. And we've come to realize that. And that's exactly why we're like, okay, we now are in the preservation mode in this business. Like, as long as we can keep doing 7 figures, we are happy, because 7 figures is good, right? Whereas we can then now start focusing on other things. Like, we want to start doing development soon. We have launched the Property Launchpad, where we help people how to deal source, right? Where we mentor them. And there's not many better people to learn from than us. And I'm just going to say that. But yeah, the point is that we now, it's enabled us to focus on other products, because we know how to get to 7 figures. We know how to keep there. And then we can focus on other things. So yeah, deal sourcing is excellent at the start if you're 1, 2, 3, but building it to 7 figures is very difficult. And I'm not going to bullshit you. It's most likely you probably want to do it, but that's not the point, because you don't need to get to 7 figures to earn a meaningful income. One of the most frustrating parts also of deal sourcing is builders. Now, just for context, that we are having 30 to 40 refurbs at any given stage. I don't know if you've watched my video. I visited 24 properties in 24 hours that I sourced. And at that time, we had like 60, 70 refurbs happening. Now we've tapered it down to 30 to 40. But the point is, you would think that if we have 30 to 40 refurb projects, that must mean those builders are gonna pay us so much attention. They're gonna give their best because they know we are able to give them business as long as they just do their job, do the fundamentals, turn up on time, don't run off, right? Don't leave a project incomplete. We will just give them business back. But unfortunately, what I've come to realize is, and this isn't all of them, but builders in general, they have a bad reputation because it's true. They are a different breed. And it's so frustrating because builders will quote us something, then they'll like requote, and then obviously we sometimes have to, foot the bill. We don't even tell the investors, but sometimes the investor has to foot the bill because it's not fair on us, and it just creates so many issues. And you guys are probably, if you've hired builders for your own property projects, even if they're not sourced, you probably know the builders are a different breed, and it's very frustrating. And as you deal with more of these builders, you come to realize that shit, probably all of them are like that. A lot of them go bankrupt. I don't even know how you can go bankrupt, but they go bankrupt. They're bad at managing the money. Some of them run off, right? And these are builders who we've worked for many, many years. It just sometimes happens. So, yeah, just bear in mind. And I don't want to put you off because, it's like, what else? What the other option is there? But tips for hiring builders: get references, even though that doesn't mean anything. But if you get referrals, if you've seen their work, then you're more likely to not come across a cowboy builder, as they say. So that's that. So that's why I think deal sourcing is a very hard business to scale to 7 figures. I'm proud we've done it. I'm glad we've done it because we've proved that it is possible. So yeah, those are the kind of lessons I can come top of the head. I hope you've liked this video. I thought, I'm gonna skip this video. I'm gonna record this, then I'm gonna edit it. But I thought I wanted to try something different because I've seen a few YouTubers who literally just rant, and I guess this was a bit of a rant. But hopefully, you found some value from this video. If you do like videos like this, then I'll continue making them because it literally, I just have to turn on the camera and talk what I'm thinking about, so it's easy for me as well. But anyways, I'll see you in the next video.